Well, we have seen some craziness in the markets, y'all, over the last week. A lot to talk about in today's video. Might be a little bit longer while we try to wrap our heads around what's going on and where it might be headed. Mortgage News Daily today has a 30-year fixed rate conforming loan at 6.55%. Y'all, that is down about a quarter of a point from where we were last week and where we were 30 days ago. So we are seeing interest rates dropping dramatically in the face of all of this uncertainty. Fixed income securities that provide us the interest rates and the liquidity that we lend every day benefit from market uncertainty in almost all cases, and we have certainly seen market uncertainty in the last week. We've seen it this year, but we have seen dramatic movement, and it's owing all to tariff and trade policy. And we're going to talk about that, y'all. The Dow Jones is down 6,000 points from the highs of earlier this year. That's a 14% drop in equities since the first of the year, or in the Dow at least. That is a dramatic shift, y'all. I would avoid looking at your 401k statement that comes out like the plague. I would wait until later in the year to see how this shakes out before you worry about it, because it's going to be dramatic that we are all going to be seeing. We are seeing, folks, and just not to put too fine a point on this, the largest political financial gamble in the history of the country. We are seeing a policy shift with regard to our trade policy as a country that is seeking to address a couple of objectives that I think most people would agree with. If you look at the last 40 years in this country, we have seen a dramatic destruction of the middle class. It used to be that as middle class Americans with blue collar manufacturing jobs could buy a house, and they could do so pretty readily. And we have now seen wealth move out of the middle class and really gut that from an affordability standpoint, particularly with regard to housing. And that is due in large part because we have outsourced the manufacturing base of our country. So I am a fan of us looking at trade policy that brings that back into balance. If we are being unfairly traded with at the expense of our own manufacturing base, then that does cause security concerns for our country. It also causes affordability concerns because it effectively guts our middle class from something that used to be fundamental to who we are as a country. We need to find a way to get that back. I'm not sure the current trade policy is going to do that. Here's the gamble that's being made. Let's look at China in particular, y'all. The gamble that is being made is that due to us having a $300 billion trade deficit with them, meaning that they sell $300 billion more to us than we send and sell to them, that they will hurt far worse from these tariffs than we will. And financially, that is mathematically true. There is no question that China will pay a much dearer price for these tariffs because of the amount of consuming that we do relative to what we sell into their marketplace. So when they pass reciprocating tariffs of an additional 34% today in response to Trump's action, the concern is that the money will catch up. And here's why that's a dangerous gamble, y'all. The Chinese government has shown on many occasions that they care more about policy and state than they do money. Ask Jack Ma, the founder of their Amazon competitor. I'm forgetting the name of it now. I'll insert it on the screen after this video to get it out there. It's a dramatic gamble, y'all, because they may place their belief structure much higher than they do the monetary loss. And I think that may be the gamble that we might be on the losing side of. Time will tell, y'all. These tariffs need to have a very short leash in order to prevent exacting a very high toll on us. If they are a true negotiating tool, then this administration is going to come out smelling like a rose and being brilliantly lauded for having the guts to do something so bold that we have re-leveled the field of global trade. However, if these drag on for 6 months or a year, or for the remainder of this term, it's going to have a disastrous effect economically, and we are already seeing that. One thing that I would remind everyone of, half the folks that are invested in the stock market, given that this is a divided country politically, are viewing all of these policy decisions by the administration as driving us off an economic cliff. And if their investing activities reflect that, if half the people in this country pull their money out of the market, it's not going to have a good result, whether those policies would have ultimately been successful or not. That's a piece that needs to be factored into this as well. These are dangerous times for us as a country. Now let's look at what that may mean for housing, because that is the singular focus of these videos that I do weekly. Recessions are good for housing, y'all. The fact that we've got rates that are in the mid sixes now and heading lower is going to dramatically help our pipelines. It's going to dramatically aid in refinancing a lot of the folks that we have financed over the last 3 years. So from a lending standpoint, these are all good things, but you have to be a vampire to enjoy them if everyone else is hurting as a result. So that's frankly where we are today. I know this is more blunt speak than I normally offer, but there are reasons to be hopeful. There's also reasons to be concerned. Hopefully, these will be very short-term negotiating tools that will lead to a much better result. I think we should all be praying for that as the result of this. And if so, then hallelujah, it was a grand plan that worked. But if the reverse is also true, y'all, I think it will aid in the ability for us to offer much better rates for the folks that are able to find a job, because that will ultimately get impacted as well if these continue at a high rate. In any event, I hope this is helpful for you and for your clients. I'm going to update you next week on what this all looks like. Hopefully, we will have some big moves with regard to international trade. We're already seeing some countries like Canada and like Korea that are already coming to the table to talk about moderating their tariffs on our goods. We see the rest of the world do that. These are going to wind up being a very good thing, but that's got to transpire pretty quickly. I think everyone's feeling that same apprehension. If you have any questions, would like to visit with me about any loans any clients that you might have, happy to run numbers, happy to offer them better pricing, y'all. On government loans, we're pretty easily in the fives now with a little bit of discount. So more to follow on that. Stay blessed, stay safe. Let's watch the rocky ride and see where it takes us.